With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I am so excited today. I've got actress and model Jordan Claire Robbins with me. So welcome, Jordan.
Thank you very much for having me.
I've been, talking your ear off for the last 10 minutes off camera, as I do.
Likewise.
I'm so excited to have you here. I'm such a fan of yours. And I was looking at you. It feels like you've been doing this for a really, really long time. But I don't think you have. It's not that old.
Yeah, it's funny because when you're doing it, it feels like you've been doing it forever. But sometimes I do have to take stock. I mean, I grew up acting and performing. I was always doing musical theater and stuff. So since I was a kid, I was on stage a lot. And then I got into modeling as sort of a side thing. And then when I was at a university around 23 is when I really hit the gas pedal on going, for the film and TV. So coming up on, I guess, almost 10 years.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of time.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a little bit of time.
Yeah.
When you started modeling, did you know that it was more of a side thing? Like that wasn't going to be your main focus?
Yeah, I did. I've always wanted to act. I've always loved acting. I mean, I do love, doing photo shoots. Like it's a very creative thing, and I love the collaborative nature of it. And there's a lot of similarities with acting, and obviously got me very comfortable on camera. And you almost play characters in a different way. You're tapping into different parts of yourself. But I just found that after a while, I was making really good money, and I was just bored out of my mind. I just felt like I had, I'd be like, I think this shot, and they'd be like, we don't care. You're not.
That's right. Stand over there.
Stand there and look good. And I'm like, okay, and it's not good for your self-esteem. And I love to work out. I love to eat. I like health is a big passion for me, but the whole be skinny and that's it just was not.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. It's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. I've always thought modeling was very similar to acting because, the best actors give so much without really saying anything. And that's kind of modeling.
It is. Yeah. You're really the eyes. I mean, the engagement, if you're not fully there and present and bringing a lot to the photos, they're not really going to be that interesting to look at.
No. And we've all seen those photos where you have just, a beautiful man or a woman model, but they just look like they're completely checked out.
Yeah, they probably are. They're probably bored out of their mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not engaging at all.
No. I think you have to really I think there's anything when you love what you do, that comes through, and people are drawn to that.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, and I love the models that you can tell there is nothing they would rather be doing. They are absolutely having the time of their life. Out there, and they just, they're modeling, and you're watching, and you're like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, well, and it is really fun. When you're with a good group of people, and everyone's in that flow state, and you're creating together, and you got the music going, and it's fun. It's really fun, but it's most of the jobs I think are a little bit more structured, and you're trying to please the boss, and people aren't creatively that fulfilled, and
sounds like work.
Yeah, I really I know, and that's the funny thing to say because obviously it's work, but I love acting so much that I can be on an 18-hour day and I'm still let's go again. I don't want to go home. I'm so just having so much fun.
Do you think is it partly because acting? I mean, modeling kind of is too, but acting you're creating something.
Yeah.
And I think that would be more like that would get me excited.
It's addictive.
Or maybe the time the time would pass and you wouldn't even realize it.
Yeah, it's just there's something so it's just this, you feel so alive because you're losing yourself in a way inside of this character, and you're just playing. It's like kids, they're so present, they're having so much fun and playing, and I think as adults we don't do that enough, and that's what we get to do as actors.
Yeah. Or sometimes we podcast.
Or exactly. You're doing it too.
I spent most of my adult life running call centers, working in call centers.
Oh.
And I always thought, this is fine. I can do this. And then one day I was like, why am I doing that? And
that would be tough.
You start looking around and you're like, well, what do I really want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I never would have guessed podcast, but here we go.
Well, I mean, it's all just connecting to other humans, really, and it's finding the right flavor and the right fit, and where you can live out your purpose and your passion every day, and your set of gifts. Like it's that whole thing of like we're not supposed to block our gifts. Like they're not even ours.
Right.
They're for us to share.
That's right. That's right. Well, and that's what most of us, we get stuck in those ruts where life just kind of leads you down a path, and sometimes it's not the right path.
Yeah.
You got to make those adjustments.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's my husband always says it. It's like, if you when in doubt, do something. Because even if it's not the right thing, it's going to show you where to go next. And there is no wrong move, because each move is going to give you valuable information.
That's right. I think once you get past the fear of just failing, it just frees you up, because then you can try anything. If it doesn't work out, you try something else.
Exactly. But I think momentum is really huge. Like I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with friends and family. And when you lose that momentum, it's kind of like you're standing on the diving board. If you stand there for 10 minutes, like, oh my gosh, like the fear of God. And it's not that big a deal to jump. And the more you jump, the more you want to do it again. And you just have to sometimes get that momentum going again. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. You're talking about working out. It's the same thing with working out. You've got to build up that, because those, like trying to get into a rhythm and go every day or every other day or whatever, it's so difficult. But once you get into that groove, you kind of get that momentum going. Yeah. Yeah, it just becomes a part of your lifestyle rather than a chore, rather than something you have to do. It just is a part of you.
Yeah. So when did you decide that you were going to try modeling, or did somebody approach you and say, hey, you should try modeling?
Yeah, I mean, I always, like when I was a teenager, I mean, I'm from Bermuda, like there's no real modeling and acting there. It's such a small island. But I loved taking photos, always like doing little photo shoots. And so I always loved taking pictures, but I was like approached on the street when I was in first year university by a couple of different agencies, and then I'd follow up and they'd be like, okay, go lose 10 pounds and then we'll talk. Or, it was kind of, I just was a little bit scared of it because I didn't know which way was up and who to trust and who not. And then I ended up being put in touch with this mother agent, essentially, who just sort of, she's got a bunch of girls. Her name is Chantel Nadeau. And sorry, did I cut out there?
No, you're still with us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how much she got. So I ended up signing with this woman who is essentially a manager and places her models with different agencies. And she just really cares about her girls. Her name is Chantel Nadeau. And she just was like this kind of North Star for me and helped me kind of get on the right track and sign with an agency. And I'm still with her. I mean, I don't really model anymore.
You kind of need somebody like that, right? especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's scary, especially like a lot of models start really young, like 15, 16. And like as a parent, even you're like, there's a lot of darkness in that industry, and you got to be careful, and you want to make sure your kid's safe. And so to have someone that you can trust, that actually has your well-being at heart, is really huge. And acting and modeling, like,
yeah, I think it'd be difficult as a parent to allow your child at a young age to start modeling. I think I'd have trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be kind of risky. I think you have to raise a kid that has a really strong sense of self and self-worth, because it is not easy being rejected, being told you're to this or to that. You're never really going to be the right size or shape or color or skin color or anything. Like there's always critics. So I think you have to really a thick skin and like know your worth and not define your worth by the career.
Has it gotten better as you've gotten older, as far as just the industry as a whole? Because you see different shaped models now that, like when I was growing up, that everybody was pretty much one size.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think social media has redefined it to some degree, just because even modeling now, I think there's a lot of girls who have gotten into modeling the unconventional route through like Instagram. And I guess what is a model? It's someone who's selling a product. So even if you're not a specific size.
Yeah, that's true.
There's different ways to model these days, but I still think that I think a lot of the time you have these designers and they're trying to show that they're part of change, but then they don't actually, care about the change. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I think you probably see it all. You probably, some designers probably are part of the solution, but I think a lot of them generally still want to see their clothes on the runway on this very specific body type, and some of that's not happening, unfortunately.
Yeah. 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 It's such a tough industry. So let's switch to entertainment, because that's also not an easy industry.
No.
But what got you started when you were younger in that? Was it theater? Did you start there and somebody kind of found you, or did you say, okay, this is what I love, and then go to school for it?
Yeah, I always loved it. Like I was really musical kid. Like I played the flute, the piano, I was
Very
classical
nice.
voice. Like I was that dorky kid, like carrying her flute around, like before school, lunch break, after school. Like I was always choir practice or something. And so I always loved, like I was an overachiever, for sure, very like perfectionist. And then when I found musical theater and I like experienced being on a stage and singing in front of an audience and affecting people with a story, I was hooked. And I was really into writing. I wrote a bunch of plays and
Nice.
stories, and so I just was really enamored by the storytelling aspect of it all. And then I went to university for theater, and I sort of feel like I got further away from it in a way because it was very like regimented, and
Right.
kind of trying to get a grade by appealing to this person's aesthetic or this person's taste, and you sort of go after the result rather than the experience of it. And I look at like my first footage of my scenes, and I feel like there's a quality there that I'm trying to find again. It was so free, and I think I kind of lost it a bit and had to find my way back to myself. So anyway, ended up getting an agent out of university and taking film and TV classes when I was in Toronto.
I think that's a really interesting point, because I could totally see that happening. You're going to a class and you think, well, I need to learn from this person because they know things, so you you try to adjust maybe who you are a little bit to fit, their vision, which is not, no, it isn't all bad. You can learn some stuff that way, but it can also kind of stymie the creativity and stuff, I think.
Oh, definitely. Like, I think anytime we try to get it right, we're losing the point of it. Like my best work has been from a place of being in the experience and the fun and the joy and the play of it. And the second that you try to be good at something or get approval, like you're not your best, and it's never going to be successful anyway, because it's all just an idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you still write?
Yeah, I've actually gotten into writing. I'm writing a few things right now, and I've been really enjoying getting back into it.
Are they like scripts, or is it more on the play side? Okay, scripts.
Yeah. I've been writing. I'm working on 3 different things right now, and it's been fun seeing this side of the process. Because obviously I've done the acting thing a lot, and I've done a bit of producing, but I haven't, other than writing one short film, I haven't really done the script writing side of it. And obviously it's different from writing, stories, fiction, that kind of thing. But I'm learning a lot, and I'm really enjoying it, and it's really satisfying, and it's a nice,
awesome
escape from the acting. It's fun to see the side of it, and to get to be a part of it from the ground up.
Yeah, it's a different type of writing. Like my son writes quite a bit, and it's like he sends me everything he writes. Doesn't matter what it is, he'll send it to me. But like if he's writing a book, different from if he's writing like a screenplay. It's just the whole way that everything, the description, the whole thing. In some ways it's more detailed, some ways it's less detailed.
Yeah.
And then you have like the screenplay. For him, he always told me, he's like, Dad, it's about a minute a page. You gotta do about a minute a page.
Yeah.
So he said it's like I'm trying to get to like 100 pages.
Good for him.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like he's chugging away at it, and consistency is everything, I think.
His biggest issue is focus, because he has so many ideas and he bounces around. And I was telling him, I was like, that's fine. I was like, just hang on to him. You'll come back to something. You'll say, oh, and then you'll go back to something you haven't looked at in years. And that might be the one.
Totally. I really think that creativity is such a funny thing because we can't really harness it. It is kind of like the wind. That sounds super cliche.
Yeah.
It's like this inspiration will strike. I'll get a lot of ideas like when I'm trying to fall asleep, and if I don't write it down, I'm always like, damn it, because then it's kind of gone. And so I think it's kind of like reading.
Do you keep paper by the bed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm bad. Sometimes I'll just jot it into my phone and try not to open my eyes.
And then try to figure out what it was you were.
Oh yeah, like I have a couple notes where I fell asleep halfway through, and I'm like, that's not English. What is that? So I think you just kind of go where the energy is leading you. You know, it's kind of like when you're reading a book and a book calls to you, and maybe you pick it up and you're like, no, this isn't the right book for right now, and then pick up a different book, and that one flows, and then maybe you come back to the one, and I think you just kind of trust where you're being led. And I think the time, I mean, some movies, you know, they're in the works for 10 years.
Yeah.
The process is not linear.
No. And bottom line is you just want it to be finished, but in a good way. You know, you don't want to like force it to be done, but not really the way that you know, it doesn't feel right.
I think it's also really, I think the nature of it and how we sometimes want it to be good so much that we have too tight a hold on it. I've heard a lot of people say that you should actually have a few scripts going on at the same time because it stops you from being too controlling over one. It kind of keeps you and a bit more relaxed about the process as a whole. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I think it's a healthy thing to not be focused.
I like that. There's a really good Seinfeld episode where he wakes up in the middle of the night and he writes down a joke that he thinks is just the funniest joke that he has ever thought of. And then he spends the whole episode trying to figure out what he has written down.
It's just so true. It's so true. That's the process, is constantly being like, what was that? It was brilliant. I've had times where I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I just thought of the best idea for a movie. And I read it and I'm like, that does not make sense. Why would they do that? Why would that person not just do that?
I know that I have done some of the world's best thinking right before I fell asleep, and it's gone. You wake up the next morning and you're like, you vaguely remember something but can't really get a hold of it. You're just like,
That's why they say to just like write anytime you wake up from a dream. I have very vivid dreams. They're always, you should just write them down right away before we pick up the phone, before we get sucked into the day.
Yeah, because it's gone once that happens.
Yeah, the brain is, can't take it for granted.
Do you still play the flute?
I don't. I mean, I think I was talking about this the other day. I think I could. Like, I think if I picked it up, like I know how to hold it. I know, how to make the sounds. I know I would have to revise the notes. I mean, I was like, it was my life. Like I went to the highest level you could in terms of like the classical grading system. But
that's pretty good.
You don't, use it. You do kind of lose it. But I mean, I play the piano, and like I can earlier today, like I can just start playing and it comes back. So I think it's one of those things you can't overthink it. Your body just remembers.
Do you play by ear or do you read music?
I can do both. Yeah. I mean, I read music though. Like a lot of the time we'll just look up the chords for something and kind of riff on it. But
you've got the right kind of hands for piano. Mine were too like thick. Like I took a couple of years for my poor aunt that tried her best to teach me to play piano, and I was just like smacking the keys. My hands were. Yeah, they always say you got to have longer, thinner, the fingers that can.
I mean, they're definitely. I know what you mean. The piano hands. Although you might be a good contender for guitar, which I have taught myself to play. But again, my hands aren't. I feel like my hands aren't big enough, to span all the different. Strengths. Yeah, I'm really jealous.
No, there's no musical ability in this body. I've come to accept that. There's just none there. But some of the kids, very musical.
Oh, that's cool.
A lot of people in my family are very musical. It just skipped me.
Oh, so it just happened. Or maybe it's just hiding, waiting to be uncovered. Maybe you're going to pick up like a piccolo one day, or I did play a pretty good recorder in elementary school. See, I mean, maybe you need to circle back. Just saying.
I still remember like I was good enough in whatever grade it was, 5th grade or whatever,
Yeah.
to get, picked for their all county chorus, playing a recorder. And I thought, well, this is great. Up until I figured out that it was on the night of one of my baseball games.
Oh.
And then that was it. That was the end of my recorder career.
The choice.
I chose sports at that time.
I mean, probably a good choice, because I'm sure that recorder.
It was.
I think you've reached kind of the borders of recorder, and there's not really much.
Yeah, there's only so far you can take a recorder.
Only so far. It's kind of more of a gateway. It's more of a gateway instrument, the flute or other woodwind instrument.
And I cannot pick up a recorder. We have some around the house. I can't play it.
Really?
Yeah, I have no clue. I don't remember any of the notes, nothing.
I mean, ABC, I think you could probably.
I mean, because it's supposed to be, what's the one? It's like hot cross buns, right? That's the one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. I mean, one
maybe
night.
I can figure
maybe
it
after a couple glasses of wine, pick it up. You're going to be a total genius.
Do you think people would watch if I did a YouTube channel that was just me playing different instruments badly? Would people watch that?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, weirder things have gotten millions of views. Truly.
What if? Now, see, now I'm starting to think maybe this isn't such a bad idea. But what if I played different instruments every episode, but opposite me was like a master of that instrument. So I was playing with somebody that could really play it.
It sounds extremely frustrating for the expert.
Yeah, it sounds terrible for them. And it has to be like completely serious. Like I would be terrible, but I couldn't acknowledge that I was terrible. I'd have to be just complete, like we were in tune and everything.
Straight face, just completely, totally committed. I mean, sounds pretty funny to me.
I think I'd watch that.
It sounds.
I don't know if I could pull it off, but I would watch that if somebody else.
I would totally watch that. You should. I think you should make that happen. I mean, I've never seen something.
No, the hard part would be getting someone to commit to putting up with my shenanigans that could actually play the instrument.
The internet has connected us to a whole world of people. So I have a feeling you could probably find someone. I mean, I've been able to find amazing food bloggers to cook with me live on Instagram. I mean, that's
true.
People are creative. People love to do something new. So
I better write this down because we're going to get done and I'm going to be like, what was that idea?
Yeah, damn it, I did it again. Oh, man.
So I think the first time I remember seeing you on camera, and it wasn't the first thing that you did, but the first time that I was aware that you were on screen was IZombie.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I know you did, because I'm guessing probably like 12 Monkeys, Supernatural. That was probably before IZombie.
Yeah, so it was Supernatural and then Umbrella Academy right after for a while, and then IZombie was in between seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Season 1 hadn't come out yet, so.
Well, wait a minute. Had Umbrella Academy come out before the IZombie?
I think,
because if that was the case, then Umbrella Academy would probably be it.
No, I think IZombie came out. I think IZombie came out first. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Umbrella Academy, IZombie was like spring of 2019, and then Umbrella Academy was that summer.
Both of them comic book shows.
Yep.
I was back in the 90s. I was a comic book store owner, so that's how I put myself through college. So I'm a big comic. So when IZombie was coming out, I was like, oh, I want to watch that. I like the comic book. Yeah. And then there was this comic I kept telling people, you really need to read Umbrella Academy. It's really good. I know it's from this musician guy, but it's really good. It's really well written.
You were an OG fan.
I was in on it. Like from when it was coming out, single issues.
Yep.
It was the first one, which would be the first season. But I was on board with that. I liked it so much I went back and listened to My Chemical Romance, some of the songs which I hadn't. I knew for a band, had really listened to them before. Pretty good stuff.
Very good stuff. Yeah.
I couldn't get anybody, including my son, who is a comic book fan, would not read these things. So then the show comes out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he comes to me and he's like, Dad, I think I'm going to read Umbrella Academy. I'm like,
I told you,
like,
heard
come
it
on.
first. You must have felt so validated. You're like,
I
see?
kind of did.
Yeah, you called it.
I've enjoyed all the bandwagon people jumping on because that doesn't bother me. I want the more the merrier.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like, come on, better late than never.
True. And I mean, I think that's what's so cool about all of these shows coming out of the comics is that it really unites, people who are fans of shows, people who are fans of comics, people who are fans of both. Like, that's pretty cool.
Well, and they're different enough, like the show's different enough from the comics that you can enjoy it, even if you've read the comics.
Totally. Yeah. It's
not just the exact same thing.
Yeah. I think that they work together really nicely.
Yeah. Well, we love your character.
Oh, thank you.
You do a pretty good job. That's not an easy role because you're having to play like, a little bit of robot, a little bit of human, maybe a little something else. Pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, it definitely was a bit of like a terrifying in the best way kind of role to book in the beginning, just because I knew that I wanted to honor and please all the fans who loved the comic so much, but B, just like walk that line of, like you said, the AI aspects and the human aspects, and not make it too far one way or the other. It had to really have that blend in a very specific way. So I was always trying to kind of walk that line.
Yeah, you do a good job, I think, of playing it where it feels like there's some bad stuff in there somewhere.
Some secrets.
Like it's under the surface there. You got to be careful. You don't want to bring that out.
True. Yeah.
You don't have to be careful. I'm saying if people dealing with you need to be careful because
for sure. What is she capable of? Kind of.
What is she capable of? And I think you do a good job portraying that, even without just coming out and doing it.
Well, I'm glad that translated, because I mean, I think the writing really helped. The fact
it's
that
good writing.
Yeah, I mean, the trajectory of my character, even just looking at season 1, like I essentially had to break it down into 3 characters. There was Grace from back when the kids were little and she was fully functioning in her purpose, or why she's here.
Yeah.
And Grace when they come back and she's malfunctioning and she's totally lost and we don't really know where she is.
Yeah.
And the Grace after the reboot when she's sort of her own version and she's not as controlled.
I know that had to be kind of fun. It's like playing 3 different characters.
Totally. And then obviously season 2 is a completely new character, and then 3 a whole other character. So I've had a lot of fun. I mean, it's been definitely challenging, and sometimes I'm like, is this working? And but it's a lot of fun, and I love a challenge. I love to be scared. I think that's a really good sign when you're scared.
Have you read the comics at this point?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was the first thing I did when I booked the show. When I hadn't read them, I will confess, but I went out and bought them all right away, and then I tore through them and was so excited.
Yeah, that's why they've done a really good job with it.
Yeah, they really have. Yeah, and they're still.
I mean, the cast is amazing too. That helps.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's so it's partly due to Gabriel Ba and Gerard Way being so involved from day one. I mean, that's why I think they work together so well.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have musical people on a show because all of the music on the show, the soundtracks is always amazing.
It's so good. Yeah. So good. Every season they knock it out of the park. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like you're watching stuff and the music always is perfect for whatever scene is going on.
I know. I mean, what a fun, I love music in general. I find it a really big part of my process, but I just really appreciate when a show blends the music and the storytelling just to enhance it. It's such an art.
It always amazes me that creative people are so talented in multiple creative areas. Because obviously, really good musician.
Oh yeah.
But really good writer too.
Yeah.
And not just Umbrella Academy. He's done, a lot of different comics and things, and they're all really good.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think, that's the fun thing about creativity is some people have some, and, you look at certain athletes and they're incredible. I mean, they're incredible at football and basketball
Yeah,
and
they play whatever.
yeah, there's definitely quite a few of them where it's like they just choose to go down one path, but they could have gone there or there.
I know, it's hardly fair. Some of the things that people are able to do, you watch them do things and you're like, where are you from?
Yeah,
You could not be from this planet.
Yeah, I know.
It's just amazing.
It's really exciting. I just love seeing people in their passion. I don't care if you're like working. I went to a chocolate shop the other day, and that guy knew everything there was to know about the process, the chocolate. He lit up, and I was like, this is what life's about. Finding your passion and your
It's
purpose.
very inspiring, I think.
It's inspiring. Yeah, like those, it's fun to connect with people like that.
I always, for years, I've told people that I've got the world's lamest superpower because it was just like I'm just full of all this nerdy knowledge. So, I can tell you what somebody's first appearance on some obscure TV show that they did 20 years ago was. That type of stuff. Well, yeah, but it's just useless knowledge. I was like, what am I ever going to use this for? And then one day I was like, podcasting.
I mean, smart. Jeopardy comes to mind.
Yeah.
Go on Jeopardy. I mean,
Jeopardy has crossed my mind, but I don't know. I always thought I'd get stage fright and just freeze up.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know either.
I think once you got on your flow, you'd be good. You lean into the knowledge. I hope I see you on Jeopardy one day. Hopefully I turn the TV on. I'm like, wait a second.
You better be quick because I'll be on and off very fast.
I don't know about that.
And he's gone.
You did it though. Yeah.
But podcasting, all that useless knowledge comes in pretty handy.
Totally. Of course it would. Yeah. I mean, you're a good guy to take to a party. It sounds like you can, can teach people.
That may be the first time ever that has been uttered.
You're welcome. Well, Ego Boost per Friday.
I have it on good authority that I'm pretty good to take to a party.
Yeah, you can use that. You can repeat that.
Oh, I'll take that clip and just send that around to my friends.
Yeah, just cut it. Just trash the rest of the interview and cut that one part.
I told you should have taken me to the party.
Yeah. There you go. Go for
it. When you started into the television side of acting, did you realize that, hey, I'm getting a lot of, kind of nerdy sci-fi comic book type of roles?
Yeah.
You're pretty good at those. You've got a good little niche with especially the sci-fi stuff.
For sure. I think there's just so much good sci-fi out there right now, and I think
there is.
It wasn't planned necessarily, but I'm really grateful for it because I feel like the sci-fi fans are just the best. Like the fans of the Umbrella Academy, it's just like so much love, so much positivity.
Have you done a convention yet?
I have. Yeah, I did one just before the pandemic, and then I haven't had the chance to since, but it was awesome. I loved meeting people. I loved the passion. I loved seeing the cosplay. I just think there's so many kind, creative human beings that come out of these types of shows. And that's one of my favorite parts about getting to do this, is to be able to connect with those people because they're just like such great human beings.
Yeah. That was always my favorite part of the comic book store. We had Wednesdays. That was New Comic Book Day. Oh. And people would start showing up at the store hours before the comics even got there and just hang out. So you just end up just kind of talking about, whatever nerdy show or book or whatever it was. And everybody was just so polite and positive and just friendly. And now that's the people going to the conventions.
Totally. Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head. They're just like really, really easy to talk to. Really nice people.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't really got back, before pandemic, we were covering a lot of the conventions and doing the press thing. And we really haven't got back into that. I think we've been to one or two in the last year or so. But
yeah, they're easing back in, I think.
It's starting to pick back up with that where maybe you can interact a little bit without, having to stand, way over there. And
yeah. I mean, I think, I'm looking forward to that because it's not the same when you're distanced and everyone feels a little bit
Well, everybody's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just not, it's not what they're about. They're about connecting, and it's hard to do that when you're worried about distancing. So I'm excited.
Or if you're wearing a mask, especially like I know some of the shows, to get back as quickly as they could, they had people standing behind a screen wearing a mask. It's just very difficult to connect.
Yeah, it is.
With that. And so I don't know what the answer is, because it's not like the stuff has went away. It's still there. Yeah. But at some point you got to function.
Right. Yep. I mean, I think we're kind of stumbling our way through it, and we're making progress.
We're making some progress. It's just it hasn't been smooth.
No.
But we're getting there.
We're just humans. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. So I play this game with the kids and my mother too. It's the kids and my mother. I'll go, this is who I'm having on the show. What have you seen them in? So most of the kids are kind of like me. They're a little nerdy. They know the sci-fi stuff, and they love the Umbrella Academy. So they're on board. But my oldest is like the anti-nerd. She didn't like any of that stuff. Okay. So first thing she said, because what she does like, she's like, she's done a Christmas movie with that. And I was like, I know.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yeah. She that's like her superpower. She can look and say, I've seen them in a Christmas movie, because I'm pretty sure she's seen like everyone ever made.
Wow. That's cool. Good for her.
She's the day after Thanksgiving, she starts, it's basically Christmas.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I'm obsessed with Christmas. I'm already like, the countdown's on. My husband's like, stop it.
It's like, stop.
Yeah.
So, Christmas Under the Stars. That was the movie.
Yep.
Did you film it in the summer?
Yep.
Yeah.
In August. It was August. Yeah. So it's a bit hot. It's so funny. Once you've done it, every time you watch one, you're like, yep, fake snow. This, like you start, it's hard to just relax and watch it.
Well, I didn't realize that a lot of times when they're like doing a New York movie, they're actually in Vancouver.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Toronto. Yeah.
Or Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't they film the Christmas movies the Christmas before, so that you're in the wintertime?
I don't know. I guess just budget wise, they pump so many of those out that
there's a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. Big demand.
Was it a fun experience though? Because that's a little different than some of the other stuff you've done.
Yeah, it was a really fun experience. It was very different. I mean, I kind of did it backwards a lot of the time. You start with the Christmas type movies, and then you move into something like a Netflix series or something. And I did the series first, and then so it was kind of like being shot out of a cannon, and that you get like, a couple wide shots and that's it. They're not going to punch in at all, and they're moving on, and it's more like quantity focused, and they're telling a story, but they're not spending the entire day on two scenes getting artistic shots. Just telling the story. So it definitely was an adjustment, but it's so much fun. I mean, it's positive and uplifting, and
everybody loves a good Christmas movie, or even a bad Christmas movie.
Yeah, it feels good.
It always ends well. Yeah, it's stuff you can put on in the background, and you can either pay real close attention to it or hardly any attention and still get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason they do so well. I think it's not like there's a lot of heaviness sometimes in our world. We don't want necessarily heaviness.
That's it.
This time we just want to.
Sometimes you want it tied up in a nice bow at the end.
Yeah, you just want to see the guy get the girl, or the girl get the girl, or the family. Whatever. Yeah.
I love to, just putting the movie on in the background, or maybe several movies, and you're making cookies, or you've got family over, so you're talking while the movie's on and stuff. But you still kind of absorb it.
Yeah. It feels good. It feels, there's something really nostalgic about it, I think.
That's a good word for it. I think. I used to say, back, when it was just network shows, basically, you didn't have all the streaming stuff. I always thought, why does it always have to end on a good note? Why does everything have to be wrapped up at the end of the hour in a nice little thing? Well, then at some point, they started changing that. So now, a lot of times it doesn't end well, or it's very gray. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a good, to the
You know,
point now that I'm like, I just want a happy ending.
I know. I don't really like those kind of open-ended, like maybe they
No.
stay together, maybe they didn't. Like, I'm just like, tell me, you know, I don't
Yes,
want to.
just tell me. If they didn't stay together, I want to know.
I know. I know. That's how I felt when I watched Normal People. Did you watch Normal People?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, what a heartbreaking, beautiful show. Oh, but yeah,
Oh,
at
it's
the
a
end,
great show.
yeah, I just was like, you just want them to be together, you know.
It's
Sorry.
exhausting though.
It is exhausting. Yeah, it is. Well, it feels like watching two people grow up. It really feels like,
Yeah.
them, you know, mature.
There's certain shows, and maybe not as much with movies, but certain shows where you can't binge them. You can
Mhm.
only watch like one episode a day
Yeah.
or a week, or because you got to, it's so emotional. You got to have time to recover before you watch the
This
next
is
one.
us.
This Is Us is one
This
of
is
those.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can watch exactly one of those, maybe a week. I don't even know if I could do it every day.
I sob at like a good commercial. Like I cry so much. So
I do too. Everything makes me cry. And
oh,
as I get
shit.
older, I'm worse.
Well, that's, you know, I think that's a good sign. It's better than the opposite. We're like, you just get
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Colder. Yeah, better to
Yeah,
have.
I'm always teared up over something because
Yeah,
everything reminds you of something
I know, and it's there's a lot of beauty out there.
or someone.
Someone, yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
I know. Now I'm like introspective.
I know. I'm like, this is a nice note to finish on. You can go have your glass of wine and stare out the window and watch the
I
sun.
thought I should just stop talking, picked up a glass of wine, and just stared off into.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sounds great.
It just wrapped it up.
Yeah.
Loved you on Man Seeking Woman too, or it was a woman.
Yeah, men's woman. Yeah, you got it right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, is it women? No, it's women.
Yeah, women would be good.
Underrated show.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun one. That was my first job ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked the show, and I was hoping it was going to last longer than it did, but I think it was almost like it came out a couple years too early.
Yeah, I think timing is everything for a lot of these shows. I mean, look at Arrested Development. Like, there's so many things that go too soon, or just a little bit too intelligent for the time, or they're too bold or whatever.
Arrested Development's a good one. We used to say Firefly, for the sci-fi side, because it only ran a couple seasons. Yeah, but then I always think, well, would it have been so loved if it had run 7 seasons? Or would that have messed it up?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's too much of a good thing. I think, there's something to be said for doing something really well and not being too greedy with it. Like, just telling the story and ending it where it feels right to end.
So Umbrella Academy, we've got one more season. Is that right?
Yeah, it was just renewed like last week.
Yeah, my son actually told me about that because I wasn't sure. I asked him, I was like, was that the final season? He said, no, it's got one more season. I was like,
yeah, right. Last one, and they've announced it as the final one, which is kind of nice. It's nice to know rather than be kind of left in that.
Yeah, I like that shows have started to do that.
Yeah, I think it's nice. You prepare yourself. You love these characters and you invest in them, and like you want to know when it ends. You don't want it to be kind of pulled out from under.
That's it. They started. Even the longer running shows have started doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like just announcing ahead of time.
Yeah,
run 2 more seasons. So next season, I'm like, okay, I'll prepare myself. Yeah, I like it. Is there a genre that you haven't got to do that you would like to try?
I mean, I would love to do more comedy. That's something that I really
You need to do some comedy. I think you could be really good at that.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. And I think, I have that in my tool belt. It's just that there's not as much great comedy out there. I think there's starting to be more, but See,
I agree with that. I keep saying that too. What happened to the sitcoms and stuff?
Yeah, but I think things are kind of shifting, and
they'll come back. It ebbs and flows.
Yeah, it definitely ebbs and flows. Yeah.
And we lost, like, really, if you look at the last few years, we've lost a lot of long running comedy shows. Yeah. So it makes sense that it might take a little while to.
For sure, and I think the pandemic killed a couple of them too. Like Glow,
for sure.
A few that really were taken too soon, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the truth because we definitely there was several we were watching that just never came back.
Yeah, I know. Pretty
It's
devastating.
kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, some good shows. And not just comedies, but I think that's where we noticed it the most.
Yeah, like I'm excited for there to be more comedy, and I think there is more coming up, and I think we need it now more than ever. So that's what
maybe you can write some.
That's what I'm working on. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
you know, maybe this time next year we'll circle back and I'll be like, I did it. I brought more comedy.
Oh yeah, you got to come back and be like, look what I've accomplished.
Yeah, we'll check in.
And then I can be like, well, did you see me with, you know,
on Jeopardy,
playing the guitar on Jeopardy?
Perfect. We have goals. We've
got some goals. Yeah. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time. I was so excited that you were coming on the show. I think you're such a good actress, and that's why I said it feels like you've been doing this for like a really long time. And it really hadn't been that long. I guess 10 years is a little bit, but that's 10 years goes by pretty fast.
It does go by fast. Yeah, I think you even just 20s, when you think about your 20s, you know, you're just
I mean, when you think 10 years ago, 2012 does not seem like it was 10.
It does not. It does not. No.
You know, of course, I look at the kids who are now grown and have kids of their own, and I'm still seeing them like they were in 2012. You know, where they're just these little barely teenagers running around.
Beautiful.
So a couple of things, Jordan, before we wrap up. Okay. Anything that you're working on that we can keep an eye out for?
I mean, the main thing is the writing. Like that's
exciting.
Yeah, that's what I'm in the process of pitching right now. And there's one role in the one I'm kind of leaning more heavily into that I would love to play. So, yeah, we'll see. I'll share more next time.
Any ambition to step behind the camera at some point?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I still feel like I'm not quite ready yet to be directing, but it's something that really excites me. And I think I'm getting closer for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would be a fun one to try, but I'm with you. You kind of have to master some of the other parts of it.
Yeah, there's a lot to directing. Yeah. And I direct my friends all the time, and we're doing filming together, you know, self-taping and that kind of thing. And I like to direct actors, but I think there's a lot of technical details that I'm still. You
have to get on a show that runs for like 15 years.
Yeah,
and at some point they're just like, hey, you want to direct one?
That's the way to do it for sure. Yeah.
Seems like a lot of actors kind of get into it that way because it's very safe. Because they know they've got all these other people to help them that first time.
Totally. Yeah. So it's a safety net.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, deal. You've got to come back when we can talk about the writing stuff, because that'll be awesome.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, all right. Last thing. You're so welcome. This has been so great. Umbrella Academy this year was terrific. Maybe my favorite season. It's a toss-up. Because I say that like every season, but this one was really good.
Yeah.
Really fun season. Where can we find you on social media?
Instagram's my main thing, Jordan Claire Robbins. I'm not really on Twitter as much as I should be. I have it, but I'm
You only get on Twitter when you're angry.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not angry enough yet. Maybe that's the problem. And TikTok, I feel like I'm a little scared of. Maybe I have it. I'll maybe play with it.
You have to have it so you can keep up with what's going on.
I have it, but I haven't posted on it just because.
Yeah, different animal posting stuff.
It's a little bit intimidating. We'll see. Yeah.
There's some amazing stuff on there. Not all of it, but there is some.
It can be. I mean, it's what you make it, I think.
There's people out there that are just crazy talented in so many different ways.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. All right, Jordan, hold on one second. All right, so that was the talented Jordan Claire Robbins. I'm so happy that I got a chance to speak with her. Such a fan of her work. I think she's such a great actress. Loved her as Jamie on Supernatural. She was so good. 12 Monkeys, which I think is an underrated show. I always loved the movie, but the show I think was a little underrated. And I think she played Anita on 12 Monkeys, but that was really good too. And of course, in IZombie, absolutely love IZombie, and she was terrific in that. I meant to ask her about a movie called Escape the Field. But maybe next time I can check in on that. I believe that one is still in the works, but definitely wanted to check in on that. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. We definitely don't take you for granted. You guys, you check us out each and every week. I know we're putting out normally about 4 episodes a week, and you guys stick with us. That's a lot of episodes, and I hope that means that you think that we're putting out quality content, that we're bringing in good guests. You're really enjoying that. I can't believe it, but we're closing in on our 500th episode. You know, we started in January of 2019. It's unbelievable to me that we're going to hit number 500 probably within the next couple of months. We put up, let's see, Monday we will be putting episode 453 out. So you can do the math for a week. So, you know, somewhere in the next 2 or 3 months, we should be hitting our 500th episode. So I just can't believe it. You can find all 500 episodes, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. Definitely check that out. You know, if we're covering a convention, if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, that's going to be on the website, meistercon.com. It's got a fun, geeky blog. It's well written that Brett does. You know, if you're nerdy, you'll enjoy it. You check that out. If you are so inclined, you know, we could definitely use the help on our YouTube channel. Doesn't have the audio, but it's got all the video. So if you like to watch or absorb your podcast that way, it's under YouTube, MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. We could really use the help. We take those numbers. I wish we didn't have to rely on those subscription numbers, but those numbers allow us to entice guests to come on the show. It's a necessary evil. So we really appreciate it if you could subscribe. It's free. Thank you guys so much. I started thinking, and then I'll wrap up. Brett told me, Brett does all the editing for the show, and he's amazing at it. But he told me, he's like, you say a lot, Dad. You say a lot. And I was like, do I really? I hadn't realized that. Well, I'm pausing a few times during this end, whatever you want to call it, monologue, because I'm hearing myself say, because he's brought it to my attention. So now I'm saying, all the time. So it's kind of amusing me, because I know he's going to edit a lot of these out. And then you'll be like, well, what's he talking about? There wasn't any us. But apparently that's something that I do. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.